Welcome to a well-regulated militia of civilians. Today's podcast is kind of going to be on and off topic, but it's going to get back on topic. Just a little something to plug your minds. We had some questions thrown up to us, so we wanted to just pose some scenarios and see what you guys think about the current state of things in this order. Okay, so first we're gonna do this little intro to get you warmed up with the topic. Obviously, today's topic: apocalypse. Not what you thought. Apocalypse, not what you thought. All right, here we go.
Coming to an end. Well, not yet, but there are lots of ways it could.
There it is! There they are!
When did we run out of body bags?
2 days ago. We're trying to get more in from Canada, but they just want to wait and see.
For this list, we're looking at some of the most intense and terrifying ways in which the apocalypse could play out.
Seas boiling!
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave!
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Enough, I get the point!
Okay, so basically we're going to come from a couple of bullet points on this one. Obviously, you got the title, Apocalypse. Not what you thought. The intro, however the doom comes. All right, so we already know. We just, I can't say it's necessarily over, but we just been through a prep of a virus for COVID, Corona, whatever you want to call it, everything that everybody's tired of. Obviously, those are angles that the worst could happen. It could have been another plague, might be another plague. I mean, who knows? Could be a government takeover. You know, the world just wants to go corrupt. All the rich people in the world just want to do their thing and enslave everybody that's below them, so nobody catches up to them and owning any land or property. You heard the sayings, you will own nothing and be happy. Like, who in the crap listens to statements like that from the elite? But that's a scenario. Obviously, the most obvious that we're already facing, we got global warming. So anything from natural disasters to volcanoes, earthquakes, floods, hurricanes, name it, you know, tsunamis, etc., etc. Just imagine everything going, being shot at its worst high point, or I should say low point, you know, affecting everybody in different ways. Most of what we're going to cover, we're just going to focus it right now. I mean, this can stand out to wherever you're at, but we're focusing this because we're the channel that represents the Second Amendment. We're focusing this on the U.S. You know, everybody plays out different scenarios. So the initial plan, what's the initial plan? Everybody's preparing. You know, everybody's preparing for what they think is Armageddon, etc. So people are stockpiling, you know, survival foods. People are planting their own gardens. People are stocking up on firearms. People are stocking up on tools, utilities, abilities to be able to, you know, be more proficient than the next man, whether that be for harm or whether it be for, you know, you and your survival. Things like that. So just imagine the most prepared individual, and just for statistics' sake, let's say everybody piggybacks on that. You know, everybody does their best. Not everybody has houses. Not everybody has homes where, you know, you're off in the wood where you can be secluded to yourself, just in case some whatever zombies or whatever you think may happen, you know, will happen. So outside of all those scenarios, now we're gonna put a hole in your plan, because just what the title says, not what you thought. So if you can imagine for a minute, let's pause 1 second. if you can imagine for a minute, you're in a scenario. You got everything that you thought you would have planned and everything built up, all the stockpile, all the food that you need, whatever your survival. Obviously, there's no one way to do anything. So you got all of that situated and you're like, okay, yeah, I think I'm prepared. I think me and my family and whoever else, my friends and cousins, we got a rendezvous point where we're going to just hunker down and, do what we're going to do. Well, think about what's going on right now. And these are the things that potentially can put a hole in your plan. Why you won't be prepared as much as you think you may be. And again, like I say, whoever on, each his own, if you think your plan is mastermind, go with it, go what you at. But we want some feedback for some of the scenarios. So some of the scenarios that were posed, current state of gun control. Well, let's answer those survival questions for instance. So just imagine, we're not creating any scenarios. I mean, all of these can be real, but we're just trying to give some concepts of what could happen. So the current state of at hand, we got endless gun control going on. So everybody thinks that, hey, I got what I need. I got all of my stockpile. I know you see a lot of YouTubers that have like a house full of guns, firearms, knives, and everything else that you can name. So just imagine that scenario. You think you got all that prop, but laws are being passed like they currently are. So this is something to think about. If you're not fighting hard enough to go against the laws that obviously go against your country's regulations, meaning the amendments, obviously the Second Amendments and all the other ones, and the Constitution, etc. And all of a sudden politicians are changing and just making up stuff off of the whim. Somebody's escalating something for no reason. I mean, obviously there's a reason, but people are escalating for no logical reasons. Now, think about the statistics, and again, we give out all the condolences to any family that's lost lives and in any circumstance, whether it be mass shootings, etc. However, this is the reality of Earth. And again, we're going to focus on the U.S., but this is the reality of Earth. In Earth's time frame, there have been way more killings than what we have right now. There have been way more death scenarios. We had the Dark Ages and a number of things that will make our current times look like a piece of crap. We don't think about that every day. Everybody's crying like all the Democrats are crying. Murder, mass shooter, yeah, but you're doing nothing for criminals. You're doing nothing for current laws, but I want to pass another gun law. We already know the scenario is set for tyrannical control of some form or some kind and some way. Because other than that, there really would be no way that you don't bring a balance out in life. And we already know you're not bringing the balance out because you're infringing on all of the amendments. You're infringing, everything, not just 2A, not just the Second Amendment. You're infringing on everything. Freedom of speech, obviously people are canceled out. You have a setup to gang people and cancel out people over the slightest thing. People were used to being not more than talked about, having stones thrown at them and wouldn't get canceled out. They could get back up. People cancel out people worse than stone throwing, So and I'm just on the first scenario right now. I just started with that. Why? Well, think about the apocalypse. What is everybody playing at? All the games that people play on zombie apocalypse and things like that. Well, what's your number one go-to to take out a zombie? Firearms, right? Well, as you see, certain states have a whole lot of legislation going in already, to the point where some states are limited to even show that what you have, and then other states, we already know some states are trying to get ready for a complete ban and cancellation altogether. And when they come, to get your guns, I'm like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do with the zombies? Kick them in the head? As they coming with you, What you gonna do? Well, I mean, obviously you can't shoot a volcano, but obviously, you might have to travel to a distant place. Well, guess what circumstances are going to be involved when traveling to a different place? Other state laws. You might be in a state that like, hey, we're good. It could be Texas, it could be Florida, it could be any one of the other, gun advocated states, Second Amendment states, etc. But all of a sudden something explodes. Asteroid hits Texas, and y'all got it, or it's aiming for Texas. Say you have some preparation, and you got to get out of there, and you got to cross a non-friendly gun state, which you already know. Now you're a felon. Now they already were after you. So now what's your plan? You had your house set up. You had a acreage of land set out for you. You had all kinds of survival kits. Now you got to move all that stuff because the asteroid is going to hit, or the volcano that happens, that you might be playing. It might be a category 20 hurricane, coming for the city or something like that. You got to move. Now, what you going to do? I mean, obviously you got to play chess in certain ways. Oh, well, I can't move this way because if I hit that state, they probably got, obviously, and you already know, they'll have state troopers and National Guard probably waiting on the line for something like that. Oh, yeah, we got Texas now, or we got such and such now. I mean, that's just imagine that. Just pause for a minute and think about the evil of that. Just think about the evil of that. That's your intent. That's what politics are creating a scenario to circumstances like that. I mean, they're doing it already without the national disasters. I mean, I heard about one case where a lady was traveling. I think it was close to New Jersey or something like that, Pennsylvania to New Jersey, and she had to cross over, and like state troopers are waiting right at that point where the state actually crosses the highway. Like if you don't have an off-road vehicle to go around that little part, you'll get convicted for crossing state lines with firearms, etc. With no matter what license you got, because obviously you're not licensed in that state. So again, remember, we're just on the first bullet point, which is gun control. We haven't even reached, I'll call them out. Down to nothing is another scenario. Down to nothing with everything banned. Say all the guns went in effect now. All the states have no guns now, except for criminals, obviously. So you already know that's prime time. Anything you had backed up, if you didn't have to move, well, the criminals now going to come in and take your stuff. And if the criminals don't take your stuff, the government is going to come in and say, like, you got a fund that you grew stuff. We need to possess that because we're out of resources. So all you saved up and all that hard work you did and paying for all your acres, all of a sudden we're going to use the government collection of land, that we can use to take over your land and all your food. So now we got to feed the essential government, and you're short because we're already tyrants and we done took over. So you got down to nothing with everything banned. Obviously, if they ban the biggest thing, which is firearms, which is your right to carry and bear arms, you already know any secondary item is going to be down. No knives, no swords, no nunchucks, no stars. So weapons, period. Anything that's considered a weapon, mass destruction, a ninja star, kill a lot of people because you can pull it out and stab somebody else with it. Throw it at somebody else. So, you got that scenario. You have another scenario. Again, like I say, all your backup food stole from government or crooks. Then you have no occupying anything without taking allegiance to some form of evil, whether it be government or gangs, etc. Because how many good groups will actually exist? And that's a good question that was posed. How many good groups, in the midst of all that other stuff, bad government, gangs, how many good groups actually exist? I don't think we can do the statistics for now, but just think about that scenario. What good groups exist right now? And obviously, we have good organizations. In concerning the Second Amendment, we have good groups that are activists for the Second Amendment rights, etc. Trying to fight the good cause. So, there are organizations that exist. But like we just said, the government accomplished everything they wanted to, shut you down. Um, you got other scenarios that could possibly exist. Obviously, with all the news out, so let's curve the scenario. We're bad. We're bad from gun ownership, everything. There's no more Second Amendment rights. There's no more self-defense at all. You know, imagine it. It's on a scale like they do in the school. You've heard the little scenario where the little guy say, little kid at school says, is taken to the principal's office, and the principal calls the parent, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna expel your son. We're gonna expel your son, not the bully that hit him, and he defended himself against and beat up. We're gonna expel you. What did that sound familiar to? Like gun rights? Sound familiar? Yeah, sound familiar. Kind of familiar, huh? We're not gonna expel the crook. We're gonna expel you for defending yourself. How dare you do something like that? We want total control of all your sorrow. You not to be able to do nothing, and you need to come to us, even though we won't be there. And now intentionally we won't be there because now you don't have a gun to buck up against the odds, etc. Okay, so you got those scenarios. Again, thinking how many good groups will actually exist. Well, the good groups that exist now, they won't exist because there won't be any rights for any of that stuff. So literally, if you're not a good physical fighter, and you know what's that's going to do against a whole mob, you know, what your choices are. You know, give some feedback. Give me some feedback in the comments. If you like what we do, make sure y'all subscribe. Subscribe, like, share, and let's have a conversation, you know, about some of those things. Again, at the end, who can you trust? That's why you won't be prepared. Those are all the reasons why you won't be prepared like you thought you would be prepared, like you are prepared right now, supposedly. Now, obviously, we know other scenarios exist. I'm not going to talk about them because they might be relevant for later. So I'm not going to mention them. We got some questions that were posed. Obviously, you know what I'm talking about. I will bring up one person said, you know, they had a sad event that they lost all their firearms in a boat accident, but you know what I mean. So you got those scenarios that exist. Now, let's take a big scope at everything that we just covered. Let's take a flashback to now. A flashback to where we are right now in the world. Thinking about everything we thought about. We were like, oh, we're trying to prepare. We're trying to be ready for everything. We want to be together. We got all the water we need. We got our supplies, all the artillery that we need to defend our homes, our families, our friends. We got each other, meaning our family and friends, to stand together in the midst of whatever time it is going on. But now we're flashing back to all of those things that could handicap. Why won't we be prepared? What's happening right now that can affect being prepared in that scenario? And what are our courses of action that we can take against that thing? All right, this conversation is a multi-platform conversation. And this subject is started to kind of spark the flame for everybody who didn't have any flame sparked on things that you need to be doing and thinking, joining up with some groups, some advocates that believe in what you believe, to defend what you believe is your right. Now, you know, some people believe that eventually certain things are going to happen, and this is going to be a heck of a world. We already seeing it. You know, we already see all the wars and the rumors of wars and the famines and the dominance and the tyrannical rule throughout the earth already. And, you know, just imagine all of that going down. Now, your government is tyrannical. And check this out. Say a government that didn't like you at first. Maybe somebody like China, you know, we tried to start a fight defending Taiwan, say for instance, and realized that we weren't the biggest army that we thought we could be. Why? Oh, well, we had so many people relieved from duty just because they didn't get COVID exams. Just because of that. And, you know, obviously they already went over and covered the reality that the COVID vaccines never stopped the spread. So it did jack for it being a law, like versus, you know, certain things in medical were good. Like I think they had, you know, there was cures for so many diseases that were relevant, that are relevant, concerning like what a real vaccine, you know, should be. But obviously all the protocol that went forth never even accomplished half the information that existed with that. But, you know, we're not getting on a tangent on that, but we're just covering the bases. So anyway, say we started a war trying to call ourselves defend Taiwan, and we're not even back home to handling our own business and taking care of our own stuff, talking about defending somebody else, and talking about disabling our citizens from defending themselves. But you ready to defend a whole nother country, a whole nother city, a whole nother state of a foreign province. You know, really? Sometimes we need to rethink our real mental goal on what's going on. So we flash back presently now. Those are all the circumstances. Please give your feedback on all of those points. I'll just go over everything again. We had the intro, whether it be a virus, whether it be government takeover, whether it be national disasters, all which are viable enemies and very capable of happening on greater magnitudes than they have been, and that they could be. Second thing was the initial plan. Okay, we prepared everything, we planned everything like we thought, but then little circumstances like current state anti-gun control, down to nothing, food being taken from you from either thieves, crooks, or the government itself, which is the same subject, crooks or the government themselves. We could just say crooks, obviously, because there not only is there not legislation against criminals, but we're doing everything to our citizens, and we're not even just talking about the gun rights citizens, the Second Amendment citizens. Again, like I said, all the amendments, the free speech. I mean, that's already cancel culture and everything. So you got that down to nothing. All your backup supplies is now up for grabs since you don't have any security to depend on. And the police definitely are not going to be at your door. It's high likely that they will be grouped together to protect their families in such an apocalyptic time. So, I mean, you know, obviously, because that's going to be the only gun source. So you're thinking that some people probably going to be trying to raid police stations, either without nothing or with hitting guns like the crooks. Going to try to, and it's probably going to be easy for crooks to take over police stations like that, where the only thing that you got is going to be military, you know. And then one of the things of the military that you have to understand and really concept is everybody in the military is somebody's family. So it's not quite what you think of, like, you know, like China right now, you know, got going on, where, you know, the military is the military and it's the sovereign rule of the emperor, etc. Well, these are family members that got to come home for vacation and relaxing and things like that. So, I mean, you can imagine what's going to be on the minds of individuals. Maybe you'll recoup and have better firearms than you thought, because military family will come to their senses and be like, okay, all that stuff that you supposedly never could have had, well, we're about to start to exit this joint, and you got a breakdown. And then now you got the worst case scenario already. You done started a beef with China over Taiwan property, and China just showed you that we grew up a lot bigger than you thought we were to be handled. So meanwhile, now that we got a bigger force or a more reckoning force, and we take out your resources, guess what? Now you are the new China. or any state. It doesn't have to be them. It could be any dictatorship. Could be Russia, whatever. Their joint forces, you know, etc. You got all these things going on. Where is our fight at the end of the day? Where's your stance? And I'm not just talking to 2A advocates. This is extended out to people that are like, oh, well, I don't like guns and stuff like that. But I think right now I'm smart enough to know certain resources that we need as human beings, that we've always needed as human beings. I mean, it's nothing shy of history to look back and see what's going on. And like we said earlier, it's forever condolences to anybody that lost life. But, if you count the numbers of any of the mass shootings, I can't even think off the top of my head. But I know I remember numbers up to maybe 15, maximum in some places. Let's just give it a number that might not even exist to beat whatever the record is. Say 20 people got killed in some mass shooting. America has history where whole freaking cities were killed. Hello? Nobody's talking gun control then. Nobody's talking, anything then. Well, we got that history. And I ain't talking about too long ago. We ain't talking about absolutely 400 years ago. We're talking about like 100, some less, a little bit more, give or take. So we got a heck of a lot of history on our hands, and obviously back to the foundation. So with that being said, we flash back to now. What are you going to do? What's your plan? What's the plan now? Let me get your feedback in the comments. Let's have some discussions. Let's liven it up. Don't forget to subscribe if you like what we do. We try to be a Second Amendment advocate. For knowledge, for education, safety, not just to learn your rights, but to learn how to execute them properly, not just in a self-defense way, but in a right to stand, in a right to help this country to develop and do and be what we should be who we could be without all the back and forth between political parties, etc. Anybody wishing you wrong should become a cancel politic to you, whether it's Democrat or Republican. Anybody that's got the intent to vote against your security, your rights to defend yourself, your rights to defend your family, your rights to care for your family, your rights to be a human being, your natural rights, not that were given to you by man, because man can't give you those things. As we talked about many times before, but your right to claim humanity in that. What's more powerful, considering people that will never regard that anyway, or bringing out proper laws to do things that are going to be beneficial to the humanity within this piece of land called the United States that we have to reside in right now. So give your feedback. Let me know what you think. We're going to close out with this production again. And everybody have a wonderful day. Looking forward to hear what you got to say in the chat.
The Second Amendment of the Constitution states that a well-regulated militia, being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Hear, hear.
Yes.